Hey family, what's up? As promised, I am on today because I just saw the Renaissance film by Beyonce, and I had a lot of thoughts, and I wanted to come on here and have a conversation with you guys. I'm just noticing something right now as I'm looking into this live. I tried to dye my hair on my own last night while sleepy, and I missed certain parts. You guys know I've been blonde for a very long time, and I'm just realizing that you can tell which spots I missed dyeing my hair under all this lighting in my guest bedroom. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that tomorrow. Wow. Oh well, we're just gonna pretend it's streaks, guys, okay? For tonight, just pretend that I have streaks in my hair and that I didn't just dye my hair sleepy and miss whole freaking patches on the top of my crown. Anyways, thank you guys for coming in. Hey, Kim. Kim, I haven't seen you in so long, love. I miss you. If you see today, I am doing the whole no makeup at all red lipstick look, because if anybody has been around any Beyonce footage behind the scenes, you know Beyonce loves a naked face and a red lip, honey. That's usually not my ministry, to be honest, because I used to always get made fun of for having really big lips as a child. I used to never want to wear red lipstick. So for me to be doing with no makeup on live it's called growth, okay? It's growth. I'm going to let you guys pile in because I see a bunch of people coming in here. And you guys, I just want to thank you guys for your engagement, because if you've been following me over at Threads, you've seen me and several other content creators over there complaining about how the algorithm is just insane on Instagram. They're intentionally blocking people. They're not showing folks your content, even if they're faithful followers. And I have to be honest with you guys, even though only a 10th of you, still, don't know why this keeps happening, only a 10th of the people who follow me are the folks who come to my page. So every month after month, I reach at least 500,000 people, and yet less than 50,000 of you follow me, which means a lot of y'all love to show up and engage. Thank you for the engagement. I have very high engagement. But why are you guys scared to admit you follow me? I really, really want someone to answer that question. Why so many people come to my page and don't follow. Also over at Threads, we're having a really great conversation about how follower count is not actually an accurate metric by itself as far as success as a content creator on social media. I did a post over there where I said that I made my first six-figure digital media salary with less than 2,000 followers, right? And people were like, Blue, how did you do that? What do you mean? You had, and let me be honest with you guys. I had less than 2,000 followers and was making six figures. And I knew somebody who had over 500,000 followers who couldn't pay for drinks when we would go out to eat. So I need you to understand that while follower count is a great metric, it is not the sole metric of success. So for those of you who might have a smaller followers, who might be micro influencers like myself, as far as count, just be really clear that engagement is also equally important. And if you have content that people think is valuable, that people come back for time and time again, whether they want to follow you or not, y'all, that also speaks volumes about engagement. So that's just a little bit of a pick-me-up for all the creators that I've been seeing lamenting the fact that Instagram's algorithm has been screwing them over. It's been happening to all of us. I know folks who have over 1 million followers and they're getting really paltry numbers. So I just wanted to put that out there. All right, now that I've bought some time for you guys to come in, and I've apologized for whatever the hell this, I'm sorry, guys. This is going to bother me, so I'm going to tell myself not to hyper-focus. Actually, this is a great segue. One of the things that I felt while watching the Renaissance film, for those of you who are just coming in, sorry, I just hit the mic. For those of you who are just coming in, I'm going to be doing a very impromptu deep dive, or review, I should say, of the Renaissance film. Why do I keep hitting the camera? Of the Renaissance film as someone who just saw it 3 hours ago. I wanted to do this fresh. I didn't want to overthink it. You guys know I love to research, but I thought that the feelings that I had about the film were so visceral and so instinctive that I didn't want to overthink it. And I think me saying that, the idea that I did not want to overthink it, is the perfect segue into the first feeling I had about watching this. You guys know I'm very much into astrology, right? And so is Beyonce. She has lots of songs on her album since her debut album about zodiacs, right? She has a whole song about zodiacs. And one of the things that she's very proud of is the fact that she's a Virgo, which is deeply ironic because the part of my chart that I usually carry the most shame about is the Virgo in my chart. I'm a moon in Virgo. For those of you guys who don't know what a moon is, your moon sign is your internal dialogue. It's the way that you process the world when you're lying on the couch by yourself. I have always despised the Virgo in my chart because that's the part of me that gets judged and misunderstood the most. You guys have seen me on here a million times. Someone's talking, and if they say something that is blatantly factually inaccurate, my Virgo moon's like, ooh, that's literally factually untrue. How do I say that without sounding like a bitch, right? So Virgos are known for being painstakingly meticulous. They're known for having a perfectionistic mindset. They're known for being mistaken as robots. I also used to feel a lot of shame as a child because people would be like, you think like a robot, right? Back then we didn't know I was neurodivergent, but still. So I've always had a lot of, I don't want to say shame, but kind of shame about my Virgo moon and the fact that my brain is so meticulous because women aren't allowed to be seen as meticulous and factually accurate and perfectionistic and tenacious without being seen as bitches. And that was the first thing that struck me when I watched the film, was watching her lead in the exact same way that I lead. If you've ever saw a video of Beyonce behind the scenes talking to her team and doing her best to keep it cute while telling you, you fucked this up even though I could not have been any clearer. That is how I am as a leader. I'm a mama bear. I want to make sure that everybody's taken care of. I want to make sure that everybody's good. I want to make sure that everybody has psychological safety. I'm also not going to enable you to be mediocre, right? I have a deep aversion to mediocrity. And the thing is, when a woman is nurturing and compassionate and fair and also does not enable mediocrity, she still gets called a bitch. She still gets questioned. People still have feedback that they would not give to a man in a similar position. And so I'm thinking back now to that post by Ava DuVernay, who after she saw the premiere, I think it was the LA premiere, she said that as a woman in film, as a director, as a Black woman creative, she felt emotional watching Beyonce, whose name is synonymous with excellence, whose name is synonymous with superstardom, watching someone who is literally used as shorthand for someone at the top of their game still be questioned 27 years into her career about her instincts that for the large part worked out, right? And so it was healing for me watching that. It was healing for me to know that I'm not crazy when I feel like, ooh, if I had a penis, I don't think you would have this much fucking feedback considering I'm in charge. And it was a little emotional, guys. I'm not even going to hold you. It was emotional. I see people in here are saying me too. It's one of those insidious things. And for those of you who are not women or femme identified, I always say that oppression and privilege look the same with different outfits on, depending on what kind of oppression or privilege. So if you are a person of color who's not a woman or a femme, think about all the times that your color has been used to make people double think or question things that are sound and reasonable. If you are someone who's an immigrant, think about all the times that your accent has been used. If you are someone who is impoverished, think about all the times that your social economic status has been used. If you are someone who is brilliant but does not have a formal education, think about all the time that your vernacular has been used as a way to discredit you, even in moments when you are being completely sound and when you are painfully aware that if a white man was saying the exact same things, he would not get the same pushback. That is the feeling that the Beyonce Renaissance film immediately tapped in for me in a way that I did not expect, even with Ava DuVernay giving a heads up a couple of days beforehand. It says here, they really tried to play her in the face like she hasn't been doing this for decades. They did, and here's the thing, they're not going to stop. One of the things I tell to my clients and the people who come to my workshops and just to my friends when we're having a powwow on the phone is the world doesn't change, and you don't have to wait for the world to change. You change. The lens with which you look through the world is the only thing that has to change. Haters are going to hate. That's their job, right? Naysayers are going to nay. Doubters are going to doubt. The only thing you have any power over is the lens. And one of the cheat codes that I use for women, feminine identified humans, and marginalized people whenever they are trying to command the level of respect that they know they deserve, note that I said command, not demand. Demanding can often look like a tantrum. I don't demand a lot. I command a lot though. And one of the things that I've often realized makes people reset their expectations and their lens when they're speaking to me and questioning me about some shit that I'm excellent at. Because here's the gag. If you haven't figured out how to be basic, don't tell me any notes on how to be excellent. Worry about your job, right? If you're struggling with the basics, you have some nerve having so much to say to someone who is operating from a place of excellence. That's not conceit. That's not condescending. That's me being objectively reasonable. And that is the word that I always use when people try to play in my face. I always point out, what I said was reasonable, so what is the issue here? Anybody who's ever worked with me, for me, seen me in my element, when I am asking something that is reasonable, and recognizing that people are giving themselves liberty to play in my face, I reset the room by saying, I just made a reasonable request. So what exactly is the issue here? I made a reasonable request. What is the point of contention with my reasonable request? Because when you remind people that you are being reasonable and they run it through their minds like, technically my boss is allowed to tell me what to do and she didn't cuss me out and she didn't ask for my opinion, and rather than doing the things she told me, I'm mouthing out and telling her a bunch of shit she didn't ask for. That is a reasonable request for me to just do the thing she asked. It's a cheat code, guys. I asked you a reasonable question, so what is the issue? And then here's the thing, guys. I sincerely wait for an answer because I really want to know. I don't ask questions that I don't want the answers to. I just asked you something reasonable and you're having an adverse reaction to my reasonable request. What is the issue here? Because it's not my request. So what is the real issue? When people have a bias, there is so much power in giving it back to them and not internalizing it. So I loved that moment that, oh God, I really have to apologize to my Virgo moon. I love that moment when someone emotionally felt overwhelmed by her desire for excellence and told her something wasn't possible. And her response was, no, I looked it up. It's completely possible. The thing I asked for exists. I'm asking you to get me something that exists. So what is the issue? I almost squealed, guys. I almost fucking squealed. I've had that moment a lot of times because here's the thing about bias. Bias makes you liars. When people have given themselves permission to not give you the respect that you have reasonably earned and you catch them, their first reaction will be to lie to your face. And they're not telling themselves they're lying. Nobody walks around saying, I don't respect women in positions of power. Nobody walks around telling themselves, I don't respect Black women in positions of power. Nobody walks around telling themselves, I don't tell pretty girls or women who are glamorous that I don't respect them because they seem too feminine and I've internalized misogyny and think femininity equals weakness. Nobody consciously tells themselves they're doing that. So when you push back and say, I'm being reasonable, the thing I asked for exists, so what is the issue? That is often the first time that they're consciously being asked to confront their subconscious bias. And she did it so masterfully. So that was the immediate moment where I was like, oh shit, I just came to watch Beyonce shimmy and dance. This might be a little deeper than I thought. And you know what's interesting too? Before everybody asks and says, Blue, are you a member of the Hive? I am not a member of the Beyhive, which is funny because you guys know that Memorial Day, I was sitting on stage in London watching her perform. Labor Day, I was on the floor in LA watching her perform for her birthday. So I might present like a member of the Hive. The reason why I'm not a member of the Hive has nothing to do with Beyonce is that I'm not really good at groupthink. And I feel like the Hive is really excellent at falling into lockstep. I'm not a lockstep, ride or die kind of bitch. I'm a ride along in the Uber behind y'all, and I might have some questions if everything's off kind of bitch. So I'm not a Beyhive member because I'm just too much of an independent thinker. And sometimes I disagree with y'all, and I will say it. I'm more of like a beekeeper. Is that a thing? So there's the Beyhive. I'm a beekeeper. Like I'm in the vicinity of the bees, but if something goes left, I'm gonna have questions, right? So I'm not a member of the Hive, which means when I talk about Beyonce, I need you guys to know that despite my deep admiration for her commitment to excellence, forget the music, guys. The music is icing. The reason why Beyonce is someone who I root for is because I have a deep respect for people who are committed to excellence. And she happens to make music that I can dance to, right? So a lot of times when I have these conversations, and you guys see me as a black woman, you're like, oh, it's a black woman talking about Beyonce. She about to be a member of the Hive. She about to be fanatical. No, guys, I'm actually being very objective. My own mother doesn't get my fanaticism. I do not believe that love equates to enabling. So for those of you who are new to me, I need you to know that any points I'm making today are because I really mean them and not because Beyonce is my Lord and Savior. Okay? All right. The next thing that I want to talk about, because I really want to talk about how women are often seen and treated, even by other women sometimes, when they are in positions of power. I also want to talk about, and I took notes, guys, because the lady next to me was being a bitch. I don't even want to get into it. But if you are watching this, I hope you stub your toe every morning when you get out of bed. Okay? Seriously, the Caribbean urge to hex people who play with me. The lady next to me was an asshole. Someone says, I call myself an honor member of the Beyhive because I ain't doing all that crazy stuff that some of them do. Yeah, I'm just not good at being fanatical. So I took notes in my mind, and the minute I ran out the cinema, I wrote them down before I could forget them. The second point, hold on, let me get my notes here because the light's over here, is, time. She was talking about her relationship with time, which I also found very, very fascinating. And she also touched on her feelings around aging, right? Because in the video, they showed her concert for her birthday. Shout out to Sarita. I was her +1 at the LA show on September 4th. And she was up there as a R&B singer, international superstar, saying, today's my 42nd birthday. And for a woman of color to get on stage in this TikTok era and proudly say that she is celebrating her 42nd birthday, I thought that was so brave for several reasons, right? The first thing is we tend to think that women have an expiration date. And somebody said, what are your thoughts about her decision to premiere the documentary in Israel? I'm not going to have any thoughts about that because that's a political conversation. And this is very much a conversation that's a review about the film itself. So any questions about Israel, guys, save your breath. I'm not going to tap into it. I have nothing to do with her marketing. And that would require me to do research to be responsible. I don't talk about things that are that sensitive without research. And I already said earlier that this is not a researched review. This is an instinctive review. I don't conflate feelings with facts. So respectfully, don't ask me any more questions about that. Respectfully, okay? That's a boundary that I'm setting that I'm going to expect everybody in here to respect. So what I was saying is Beyonce had a conversation around time and aging that I thought was really, really impactful. Because one of the things that I find very sad about the younger girls out here right now, and by younger girls, I mean the girls under 30, is they're all having 40 and 50-year-old neurotic episodes before they even reach 30. And this idea, oh my God, I'm 27 and I don't have a husband. Oh my God, I'm past my prime. I'm 29 and my brand identity isn't solidified yet. I need y'all to calm down. I really need y'all to calm down because the gag is, if you are neurotypical, your brain didn't even fully develop until you're 25, 26. If you're neurotypical. If you're neurodivergent and have ADHD or any other of those other neurological disabilities, I call them disabilities in air quotes because I don't personally always think being neurodivergent is a disability, but that's a whole other alive. If you are somebody who's neurodivergent, your brain doesn't finish developing until you're 35. Yes, guys, if you are someone with ADHD and you are not 35 yet, your brain is still mushy. It hasn't finished developing. And so to hear a bunch of people with soft brains, underdeveloped neurological abilities, telling themselves, and anybody who will listen with Wi-Fi, that they are past their prime because they're about to be 30 and don't have a husband. Again, respectfully, shut up. I love you so much, shut up. And I'm saying shut up as your big sister who knows that when you're my age, you're going to be saying shut up as well. You're going to cringe. So many of you are saying things that are not going to age well. And so I love that Beyonce said, I'm in my 40s and I'm just getting started. All the elders that I've spoken to, all the women in their like later 40s and 50s and 60s, they often tell me, Blue, shit doesn't even start to pop off until you hit your 40s because your 20s are when you are finally legally able to explore. So your only job in your 20s is to legally explore shit. All the stuff you wanted to do in your teens that was technically illegal, or you just weren't neurologically equipped to like really pull off in a way that wasn't hazardous, your 20s is your time to play around and figure it out. People laugh at me when I say this, but I went through my whole phase in my 20s because I had been engaged really early to a Muslim man in Philly. Shout out to you, bruh. And I was about to be married super young. And when I broke off the engagement, I've been engaged a couple times, y'all. When I broke up my engagement, I instinctively felt like if I don't do this shit now, it's not gonna be so cute when I'm older. And I'm so happy I did that. Shout out to his wife who he ended up marrying after I broke up with him. They're happy, and I hope she's happy. But most of my friends who got married in their 20s are divorced and or constantly coming to my house because I'm having more fun than them. So I need you guys to know that your 20s are the time that you are supposed to explore with the empowerment of legality behind you, right? Somebody said, this is so true. I'm ADHD neurodivergent and I'm on in my 40s. See? All the girlies in here who have lived it are co-signing. Now your 30s are when you're like, okay, I done tasted a lot of things. Let me whittle down the list now. Let me shave it down and be smart. Let me figure out of all the crap that I did in my 20s, all the experiences that I had, all the flavors that I tasted, all the places that I traveled, all the people that I've been, because you become different people every couple of years. What do I enjoy? So it's almost like your 20s are when you create the mess, and your 30s are when you're staring at the mess, figuring out what gets to come with you for the rest of your life. Now, the 40s, this is something that I've heard from my elders and people who are a lot more knowledgeable than me because I don't want to talk out of my bracket. But from what I've been told repeatedly by people who have surpassed their 40s is your 40s are when you took the mess that you did in your 20s, you take the discernment that you tried to cultivate in your 30s, and then you put it all into action. So when Bey says, oh my God, nobody told me my 40s were going to be this fucking lit. And they show her throwing her ass in a circle and not caring. And they show her saying, I no longer give a fuck. I've earned the right to do what I want. I have nothing left to prove. That is the gift of the 40s. And so imagine all the young girls who've been on the TikTok, who have been on the Instagram, whose only job has been uploading content and who don't really understand what it's like to work in the real world past 25. Imagine how powerful it is for all those young people, not even girls, men and women, right? Because men's biological clocks are being sped up thanks to the 24-hour news cycle as well. Imagine how powerful it is to see somebody at the top of her game who's still sexy, juicy, and snatched at 42 saying, calm the fuck down, babe. It only gets better. In fact, shout out to Bevy Smith. You guys know I love Bevy. I find every excuse to tell y'all how much I love Bevy. Bevy has always told me, because I'm always talking about being a late bloomer, and I'm neurodivergent, guys, okay? So that's probably a good reason why I'm a late bloomer, but she's always telling me, Blue, it gets greater later, right? It gets better later. And I love that she's told me that because I used to judge myself for the fact that I was taking the scenic route in life, right? I didn't even fully get into my stride till I hit my 30s. And I was for a moment falling for the trappings of, oh my God, I didn't finish it. I didn't figure things out in my 20s. I moved to LA in my 30s. I really understood what love was in my 30s. I finally had great sex in my 30s. So I just need you guys to understand that a lot of these things that are forcing you to age and to count yourself out early, it's all capitalism, right? The job of capitalism is to convince you that you are steeped in lack so that you have an excuse to consume. That is the job of capitalism. And what does social media do better than anybody else? It makes you feel like you need to buy. I was just on my stories the other day complaining that Black Friday had me in a chokehold because every time I woke up, I'd be like, damn, I do need some under eye cream. Damn, I do need that moisturizer. Damn, I do need that vitamin for my vagina. I didn't know like vagina vitamins were a thing, but I was like, ooh, this seems cute. Like, there's so much incentive to convince you that you are in a space of lack. And I just think that despite the fact that she's a billionaire and there's political conversations around, are billionaires allowed to have feelings? My response is everybody's allowed to have feelings. Controversial, I know, right? So watching someone with that much power speak about aging in such an impactful way, I thought that was so healing. In fact, there was a young girl sitting next to me, not the bitch that I have beef with, that I'm going to refrain from telling that story before I get angry. But the girl on the other side of me, she was having so much fun. And I heard conversations happening about the aging thing. And I was like, oh my God, Beyonce has no idea. She's giving these young girls, actually, I might act like I'm not young too, but you know, mother has lived. She's giving these younger girls, particularly the under 30 girls, a reason to calm down. And speaking of young girls, I'm doing my best to read the comments, guys, because I know that I'm not always great at reading comments. Someone said, the job of capitalism is to convince you that you are steeped in lack so that you're convinced to consume. Yeah. I love it when you guys quote me. I just be saying shit and forgetting. So I love it. I love the quotes, guys. One of the moments that I really found emotional, because I was watching this like inspired, having me a little kiki, a little dance. I felt like I've been to her concert so many times, I knew some of the dance moves, but I did not expect to get emotional. What got me emotional was the tributes, particularly the tribute to Blue Ivy, the tribute to the ballroom scene in the gay community, and the tributes to her family, particularly Uncle Johnny. I've said this before when Lemonade came out. I'm going to say it again now that the Renaissance film has come out. Beyonce's saving grace, even if you are someone who does not like her music or who just loves to hate popular culture. There are people who are going to always hate what's popping. Have you noticed that? They're called contrarians, by the way. There are contrarians in this world who love to be anti, and the minute you become popular, they hate you just on principle. Even the most anti person on the planet has to admit that one thing Beyonce is really great at doing is writing love letters to marginalized people, right? She's written love letters to Black women 1,000,000 times. She wrote love letters to the African diaspora, and even the contrarians in the African diaspora who always want to be mad about something. By the way, if you're wondering, I disagree with y'all. All of y'all who talk shit about Black is King, I fucking disagree. And y'all know I'm pro-Black as fuck, right? So for all of you who are like, Black is King is... I disagree, and if we ever had a debate, I don't think it would come out the way that you think it would, okay? So some of you want Beyonce and other artists to be God. They are mere mortals. Billionaires, but still mere mortals, all right? So I want to be very explicit that I don't want anybody saying, you're saying that she writes love letters, but she fucked up Black is King. I don't agree. And in fact, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and this is a controversial but brave take. Shout out to Eric Andre, because I have to shout him out whenever I make that quote. I think, and I'm going to say this slowly, because I have a Latin tongue, so I talk fast. I think it is impossible to be authentically pro-Black and not be pro-African. I think it is impossible to be authentically pro-Black and be anti-African. The reason I say that is, where do you mental giants think Blackness comes from? Even though the term Black is not used as much in Africa, because you don't need a term for something that most people are, right? Blackness comes from the motherland. So when you say that you are pro-Black, but you have xenophobic, anti-African things to say, you're not pro-Black. You're not. I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. Yes, ADOS folks, I'm talking to you as well. It is impossible to be authentically, academically, and historically accurate in your pro-Blackness without being pro-African. And so when Bey did Black is King and did all that content, paying homage to the continent, I didn't think it was pandering. I thought it was her being accurate. I thought her Virgo brain was saying, I don't get to stomp this hard for Blackness without acknowledging the root of where all this comes from. And so she's really great, in my opinion. Note that I said my opinion, at creating these love letters. And so we already knew that Renaissance was a love letter to the gay community. Somebody said, talk about it. I will talk about it. Y'all lucky I didn't wear my African earrings just to piss y'all off. I really love the way that we all acknowledged up front that the album was an homage to the LGBT community and the ballroom community as well, right? Because let's be clear, do not conflate LGBTQ plus with ballroom. LGBTQ is the entirety of the gay community, which visually often is hyper-represented by white male gays, right? The ballroom community is very much queer Blackness, okay? Again, one more time for the folks in the back who don't read or do research. The ballroom community is steeped in queer Blackness. There are white folks in the ballroom scene, and we welcome you. You are visitors, okay? Black trans girls, Black femmes, Black queers were the ones getting murdered in droves. Black and brown, I should say. Shout out to the brown community. Some of us are both, right? So the BIPOC queer community specifically is who this is paying homage to. The rest of the rainbow gets to come along. Just recognize you are a +1. I know we're doing this thing now where African American Vernacular English, AAVE, which was once problematically called Ebonics, is now being conflated as Gen Z, right? They're doing this thing now where anything that used to be called Ebonics or AAVE, African American Vernacular English, is now being called Gen Z language. No. It's Black. Stop playing with me. It's brown. Stop playing with me. It's often queer. Stop fucking playing with me. And so, in this world where all things Black, brown, and queer are being assimilated and given away to a generation full of non-Black, brown, and queer people, I love that she took it back and made sure that the community with which all this shit comes from was front and center. And let's also be clear that biphobia is steeped in anti-Blackness. And so when I saw, I think her name is Amari. I hope that's her name. I wish I had had time to look it up, but I came straight from the gym, so I'm tired. I think her name is Amari. If it's not Amari, I'm apologizing up front, and I'll put a little disclaimer at the bottom when I have a chance to look it up. That young lady, Amari, her dance captain, with her big, beautiful brown chocolate body, she wasn't in the back as a token. She was front and fucking center. Someone said it is Amari. Thank you, my love. She was front and center. Big, pretty bitches front and center. Not a token, right? Not a quota. Front and center. And, I don't want to cry. Because you guys, I'm not going to cry. Because you guys know there's two topics that make me cry. And that's my family. Actually, and my family. My family's the only thing that really makes me cry. Okay. Bringing it back. Because this is the part that I was sobbing in the theater. And I was almost embarrassed. But I'm really working hard on not internalizing shame for having emotions. You guys who have been following me for a while know that I was raised by my aunt. I love my mother. She's my favorite living person on the planet. But a lot of immigrants, when they come to this country, don't have the resources to get many visas all at once. And so immigrant families tend to come to this country in spurts, a couple at a time. My aunt and myself were the first two people in my family to come to America, while the rest of my family stayed behind in Haiti and Cuba. So, up until I was 7, my auntie was my mom. So when I tell people that my aunt dying was the most devastating thing that's happening to me, I hate saying the word aunt because I really mean mother, right? I have a biological mother, but I also mean my other mother, the one who was there while my brain was congealing in the formative years, right? We know that 0 to 5 are your formative years. The years that made me the woman that I am today, the woman who raised me during those years is dead. And losing her, I'm not going to get emotional. Losing her is hands down the most painful thing I've ever gone through. So one of the things that hurts me a lot about this generation, and also a lot of people in this country in particular, is people in Caribbean places, people in Africa, people in other regions. As a matter of survival, we are painfully aware that you need your tribe. We're painfully aware of it, right? You will literally not survive in Haiti or Cuba without your family. Literally, you will not survive. It's not a matter of choice, right? So I come from a community where I recognize the importance of family, the importance of tribe, the importance of having people who love you deep, right? One of the saddest things that white supremacy has done to the modern world, and it's left America and is now seeping into the continent, the Caribbean, is it's made us painfully individualistic. We are all so individualistic. I can do bad by my damn self. Meanwhile, people like Maya Angelou have written poems saying nobody can do it out here on their own, right? It is not natural to do shit by yourself without a community to help you. And so when I saw Amari, the way that she loved on Blue Ivy, and how Beyonce talked about there's nobody in this planet outside of her family that she would trust to shape her daughter, except for Amari. Amari and Blue's relationship reminded me so much of my relationship with my aunt. It reminded me so much of all the women and all the people who are not your biological mother, but who still leave such an imprint on you as a person. And knowing that someone could be at the height of her game, knowing that someone's name could be synonymous with celebrity and fame and wealth, and that she still was holding on to the healthy parts of tribalism, to the healthy part of community, to that Africanness in us that the Western world has tried to beat out of us. That impressed me more than all the opulent shit that the rest of you are probably clapping for. I'm not gonna get emotional. Sorry guys, I get really emotional around the full moon. You know I'm a little witchy. So, again, I hope you guys are keeping track. A Black woman who says, fuck y'all, I'm Black as fuck, and I recognize my Blackness comes from Africa. And I recognize my Blackness comes from Louisiana. And I recognize that my Blackness comes from Alabama. And I recognize that we are all interconnected. And I'm not playing diaspora wars. And anytime I see a Black or brown face, I recognize it as family. And my daughters and my son are being raised the same way. And everybody in my tribe is helping be part of the village that is raising my children. To know that someone could be at that height of excellence and hold on to the very parts of us that the world is determined to rob us of. That's why I love this film so much. It wasn't because I was a member of the Beyhive. No disrespect to y'all. It was because we don't get to see women of color operate and function and dominate the machine so masterfully and still hold on to all of the best parts of us. We don't get to see that often, guys. We really, really don't. And it breaks my heart that we don't. And she did it without being homophobic. Because a lot of you think that being pro-black means being anti-gay. When the truth is, if you do research on African religions, not the post-colonized African religions of the missionaries, right? Not the hyper-Christian Africa that we know now. If you go back to our ancestors, before the colonizers came, and guys, I'm using colonizers to be accurate, not to be woke and nasty or whatever. And shout out to my white friends who let me tell the truth and understand my heart without being on no dumb shit. I'm being factually accurate here. Google everything I said. I'm more impressive when you Google it and realize that I'm not talking out my ass. If you look back, a lot of our magic was squelched from us, right? A lot of our magic was taken from us. And so I love it that we got to see her in her form, because being homophobic wasn't always the way. There are so many ancient religions that believe that people who are two-spirited, people who are intersexed, people who are bisexual, who understand that the queer community has been around since the beginning of fucking time. If you go to Egypt and start looking at those hieroglyphics and you start squinting, you're going to see men sword fighting. You're going to see women eating each other's kitty cats. I hate to break it to you. This thing that, oh my God, the homosexual agenda is white supremacy. No, it's not. Homophobia is white supremacy, actually, ironically. So I love that the queer community was not only celebrated, but got to be highlighted and come along for the ride. And a lot of times they took the front seat. And I thought about the Uncle Johnny conversation. And when Tina was talking about how when her mother recognized that Johnny was gay, her mother said to Johnny, people will love you if you know how to make them feel beautiful. People will probably stop themselves for dehumanizing you if you know how to make them feel seen. And so she taught Johnny how to be a costume designer. She taught Uncle Johnny how to make that dress as a matter of survival. And I think about all the queer black and brown men in my life who I know and I love, who, had they not known how to be stylists and hairdressers and style icons and the ones who beautify the world, if they did not know how to make the world more beautiful, they would have easily been robbed of their humanity. And the fact that Tina's mother saw that and knew that and armed Johnny with the ability to find a way to hold on to his joy. And he poured that joy into his nieces. And that's how we got Renaissance. Seeing all the queer, black and brown, BIPOC kids in the audience, all the Johnnies in the audience, that girl with the sign that said Johnny would be proud of you. I had an Uncle Johnny. His name was Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben was the first gay man I ever knew. I was 5 years old. I was like, ooh, Ben's voice is higher than mine. I didn't know no better, child. And it's just so amazing to me that so many parts of our community that bring us joy and beauty and just a reason to smile are the very parts that we try to squelch. They're the very parts that we talk greasy about. They're the very parts that we make into punchlines. I was talking to a friend who is in comedy, and we were talking about how everybody says comedy is dead. And I said, I don't think comedy is dead. I think comedy has to get smarter to survive. If you're punching down at marginalized people, you will not get clowned and canceled, allegedly. I don't believe cancellation is real. Again, a whole other life. But you'll get in trouble by punching down. But if you punch up and have smart humor, comedy still has plenty of place to thrive. There are certain Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor sets that I can watch now in 2023 that are still fucking hilarious because they were smart. Smart comedy gets to survive. The only thing that comedy has lost is the ability to make human beings a punchline and rob them of their humanity. To me, that's okay. I'm fine with that. So I love the tributes. I loved watching how Blue was being raised in the tribe that is showing up for her. I love watching the moments where we got educated on ballroom for those who didn't understand ballroom. And you know what's crazy? One of my favorite movies when I was younger was Paris is Burning. And I remember watching Paris is Burning, and the young lady who I think was like a big focal point of that movie, I think her name was Venus. She was this beautiful Latina trans girl who's also a sex worker, because a lot of sex workers have to do sex work when they're trans because they can't get regular jobs. And I remember when I watched that film, I was so young. And I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God, they look so beautiful. The 80s look so fun. And at the end of the movie, I think there was a moment where somebody told me, or it flashed on the screen, that she died before the movie premiered. And that fucked me up, guys. I'm watching this beautiful girl share her dreams about how she's going to get to live like a rich white woman one day and get a husband who's going to love her despite the fact that she's trans. And she's going to get to be this beautiful star. And I'm watching her in this film thinking, baby, you are a star. And she was murdered before the film even came out. You guys, I've made many videos about this, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But the reason why I have no space for homophobia in my friendships, in my romantic partnerships, I actually stopped talking to somebody that I was interested in recently because he was being homophobic. It's because I understand that hate speech leads to death. It's not just language, right? Language creates norms. Norms create boundaries. And then the lack of boundaries creates really homicidal and dangerous things for the people who are the punchline. So Beyonce's heart, the way it showed up, love that. And then the next thing I put down, I'm about to wrap this up, guys. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible because I've had a long day and I'm tired. The thing about boundaries, actually, this is a great segue. I loved in the film when you saw her pushing back and saying no and not feeling no kind of way about it. I'm going to ask a quick question here. Raise your hand if you are someone who struggles to say no to people if you want them to like you. You could put a hand raised, you can put a heart. Just let me see if you are somebody who's in any way struggled to say no. Normally, I would not raise my hand for something like that until I recognized I had to switch up plans on a friend. And I recognized, I think it was a couple of days ago, whenever I tell a friend that I'm going to do something and I have to renege, right? I hate being a reneger. And I have to, look at all the hands being raised. I love y'all for being honest. Whenever I have to renege on something, or you guys know, we live in a very exhausting world. Sometimes you're excited to make a plan and then the day comes, you're not excited anymore. I peeped that it takes me a half an hour to send a text saying I can't come anymore, or I don't have the bandwidth to come anymore. And I was like, why does it take me so long to send that text? Why do I type and then delete and then type and then delete and then type and then delete? Like, what's that about? Because I'm not a people pleaser anymore. I'm very direct. I worked on my emotional intelligence, X, Y, and Z. Why do I struggle with that? And then I thought back to my teachings because, you know, the thing I always say about emotional intelligence, it's like maintenance. You don't just arrive there. It's a constant battle to be emotionally intelligent. I'm always telling my students that whenever you're struggling to tell your truth, it's because deep down you're worried that your truth would make you be seen as unlovable or unworthy. And at the crux of the inability to just say no simply is that we're all worried deep down that if we are not pleasing and agreeable, then we will not be lovable or likable or desirable, right? Anytime you struggle to tell a reasonable truth that involves a no, that is your inner child saying, but will they still like me? Will she still be my friend? Will they still think I'm helpful because for some reason, you know, my whole personality is steeped around being supportive. And so if I say no to this one thing, I suddenly won't be supportive and there goes my branding. And here's the thing, they might. I had a friend one time, I was literally about to pass out. I had been going hardcore for 5 days and I promised to do something for her. And about 5 hours beforehand, my body hit a wall and I couldn't even get out of bed. And I told her the truth bravely, and she did not react well. She was not happy with me. And she was honest, right? She's allowed to have her reaction. So I'm not saying that every time you tell somebody no, they're not allowed to be honest that you've inconvenienced them. So she honestly showed frustration about the fact that I was not able to show up for her in the way that I had promised. And I accepted it. And I also told myself, she's allowed to be mad. I'm still too fucking tired to get off this couch. I ain't got it. I cannot pour from an empty cup. And what do I always say, right? Do not set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. So I need to let you guys know that when you're watching this film, when you're watching anybody you admire, let's make it bigger than Beyonce, even though she's the focal point. Please be clear that the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And when you are someone who dares to think big, there are going to be a lot of people who don't like you, a lot of people who talk shit about you, a lot of folks who say, we don't understand why you like her so much. She's not that special. She can't sing. She can't dance. She's not cute. She's only successful because she's Creole. She's only successful because she's light skinned. She's only successful because she's skinny. She's only successful because she's in the Illuminati. Everybody's going to have something to say, right? There's an old saying in the Black community that recently got Jamie Foxx in trouble because people didn't understand what he was trying to say. But he said, I mean, they killed Jesus, right? There's just and that saying is not meant to be anti-Semitic, because I know a lot of people don't understand that saying. That saying is, if even the Son of God, who was created in his own image, is not immune to the messiness of human nature, who are you to think that everybody's going to love you? Right? Who are you to think that everybody's going to fuck with you? And here's the thing, guys. They're not all supposed to like you. They're not all supposed to fuck with you. Because if you are allowed to have people that you don't like, then isn't it hypocritical to expect everybody to like you in return? There are plenty of people I can't fucking stand. And if I'm allowed to not stand you, you're allowed to not stand me back, child. That's fair is fair. Someone said, why is IG messing with your voice? Now I'm getting mad. Stop hating IG. Oh, if IG is messing with my voice, I'm not picking it up, guys. I'm sorry about that. If it is, though, maybe I should log off. Let me see. Should I log off, guys? Is my voice sound okay now? Oh, and also for those who did the Q&A, quick thing about the Q&A. Somebody said my voice is fine. Okay, maybe it's your Wi-Fi friend. I'll see in the playback. We did a live with Bridget and Cheech a couple of days ago. It was really, really fun. We were supposed to have a Q&A. I got a bunch of questions, but the live was so good organically, it didn't feel good interrupting it to answer the Q&A. So I'm going to put the Q&A asking anything thing back up. And I'm going to answer any new questions, plus the questions that we already got. And I'm going to make a separate video about that, just to keep you guys posted that I did not have you send me all those goddamn questions for no reason. I wouldn't do that to y'all. Someone said Blue's voice is good, might be the person's Wi-Fi. I love your takes on pop culture topics. Yeah, I really think that the biggest gift of Renaissance is to show what it takes to be in a space of excellence. One of my favorite quotes is, you can either be comfortable or you can be amazing. Rarely in life do you get to be both. Some of the most dope moments of my life, I've been very uncomfortable, right? And funny enough, Beyonce is a perfect example of that. You don't think she was in pain when she had her knee surgery and then had to be on tour a month later? One of my friends saw her on stage and said she looks dehydrated and she still danced her ass off. I don't think people realize how many blisters, figuratively and literally, you get when you are operating from a place of self-mastery. Nobody said it was going to be easy, right? And also, if you watch the film, and I hope a lot of you do, because there's so much gems in there, and also for those of you who couldn't afford those expensive tickets, this is a $30 way to see the show. I need you guys to know that in the midst of all the painstaking things that happen for excellence, you still have to find a way to decompress and re-up, right? You see her getting massages. You see her spending time with her family. You see her playing with her kids. There's a balance that has to happen when you're operating at that level. And so I hope, somebody says, what's your ethnicity? My ethnicity? I'm Haitian and Cuban. That's random. I think I talked about that earlier. Blue's voice is changing back and forth on my end too. All right, guys, since it seems like the live is messing up, rather than continue this, I'm going to probably cut it short here. I'm sorry for those who are just coming in. I was going to go a little bit longer, but if the Wi-Fi is messing up, it doesn't make sense to keep going. Somebody says, I love you, Blue Gem. Calling you Blue Gem now because you're always dropping gems. That's actually funny. I appreciate that. Someone said, Blue, your voice is fine in cap locks. Why are y'all yelling at me? Wait a minute. Why are y'all yelling at me? I don't like being yelled at. Someone said, I can hear you fine. It's fine. All right. I'm going to say one last word about the whole aging thing, because part of that I liked in the show was when she did the tribute to the older divas like Diana Ross and Kendrick Lamar. And now you guys know. The Diana Ross and Kendrick Lamar tribute happened on September 4th during the LA show. I posted a video previously that there was so much teachable moments during that show because the mic kept fucking up. The mic, when I tell you the mic was off, the mic was not on. You know how they say the mic is on? The mic was off through half of Kendrick's performance when he surprised her. Luckily, in post-production, they fixed his audio in the movie. So in the movie, you can't tell that Kendrick had no mic. In the movie, he sounds perfect. So shout out to whoever did that. But I'm going to actually go back and tell you the story about the bitch who pissed me off in in the theater because I feel like it ties to what I'm about to get into. This morning woke up to the news that my mother's insurance company was doing some funny shit and that she's being discharged from her rehab facility much earlier than my family was ready for. So suddenly now I have to rebook all my flights, do all these things, call their insurance company back and forth, refix my plans with other people. It created a firestorm for me. Because I still wanted to have my moment of peace, I said, I'm going to get to the theater a little bit earlier than noon because it was a noon showing and make sure I write my emails and then work on my emails and my texts and stuff up until the moment the movie starts. That way I'm seated. I'm not rushing. I'm not running late. I'm getting work done. I'm taking care of things for my mom. And the minute the movie starts, I will put my phone down, which is what I did. So I get there at 11:40. I'm writing my emails and texts and going back and forth and going crazy. I made sure to be kind that I took the light. You know how all iPhones have a light on them? So I turned the light all the way down to its lowest volume. So thank God I did that because I didn't want to be one of those obnoxious people who's like radiating light everywhere, right? So imagine I'm in a theater, the previews are playing, my light is dimmed all the way to the bottom. So thank God I have excellent eyesight. I'm squinting to even be able to see the phone that's in front of me while I'm sending all these texts and handling all this stuff. And on top of that, my website crashed. So now I'm having to hit up my web developer in Boston and be like, girl, the website crashed. And she's like, well, they need X, Y, and Z and this amount of money to fix it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna cash app you. And so I'm handling business, volume down on the lighting and typing furiously, understanding that the minute the movie stops, I'm gonna start watching it. Do you know, just as the movie starts, as I'm texting, hey, I'm in the Renaissance film, I'll get back to you in a second, a light flashes directly into my eyes. The bitch, I'm using the word bitch because I mean it, the bitch on the left of me, rather than saying, hey, the movie's starting, put your phone away, took her flashlight and pointed it directly into my eyes. Mind you, my phone was put away within less than a minute of the movie starting. But the second the movie started, she turned on her flashlight and put it right, like she had been waiting. Mind you, why do you care I'm on my phone with the dimmer on during the previews, bitch? So I look at her, I can't see now because she's pointing it directly into my fucking eyes. And I say, excuse me, I can't see. She's like, well, that's how it feels with your fucking phone on. Guys, my mother's in the hospital. I'm trying to make sure that my mother, who's fighting for her life, gets what she needs. And you can't wait 30 fucking seconds for me to hit send on a text message. I almost lost my fucking shit, guys. I almost lost my shit. I almost lost my shit. And so I said, oh, you're being passive. Got it. I'm going to still finish this text, though. Finish the text. I put it away. And here's the thing. Energy transference is real. The disgust, the disdain in my voice, I think quickly told her that she might get beat up if she responded to me. I've been told that even though I'm Buddhist and even though I'm Zen, when I get upset, even though I'm being reasonable, there's an energy around me that says, you might die. You got one more time to say something crazy to me, and you might be my cheat meal for the day. I recognize that about myself, right? There's a movie called Twilight, and I used to date this girl who was really into sci-fi, and she said, I need you to watch the Twilight movie because there's a character in Twilight called Jasper, because I need you to watch the movie so that you can understand what it's like when you're being quietly mad. So I watched the Twilight movie. For anybody who watched the movie, it's an old-ass movie. There's a guy named Jasper. I guess he's like a psychic vampire. And when Jasper gets upset, he gets very quiet. And there's a menacing silence all around him. I watched the movie. I was like, oh, my bad. Is that what I've been doing? Because I don't scream, guys. I'm not a screamer. I'm too busy telling my spirit guides, I don't want to go to jail. Please don't let me lose my shit. Like, I'm counting backwards from 100. I'm never scared for my own safety. Never. I've never in my life been in an argument where I was scared for my own safety. I'm constantly asking the God that lives within me not to get me arrested. I'm being so serious. So I'm sitting there like on some Jasper shit like, I'm going to finish my email. The bitch was implied. I went back and finished my email, and as soon as I hit send, mind you, the dimmer's on. I'm squinting at the screen that's in front of me. So how bright do you think it is for you if I can't even fucking see my phone? Flashlight directly into my eyes. You guys, what if I was epileptic? Do you know that flashing a flashlight in someone's eyes when they're epileptic can cause a seizure? She puts her light down, and now, because she knows that I probably want to beat her ass, she's sitting there tight next to me because now she's uncomfortable because she showed her ass on the wrong bitch. I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I didn't call her any names. I just made it clear you picked the wrong one. Or maybe you picked the right one. Who knows what her karma was? The whole first 20 minutes of the film, she's sitting there with her arms crossed. And I'm sitting there like this. Say something else, bitch. Say something else. Say something else, bitch. I dare you. And now I'm taking both the armrests and thinking, if she wants the armrest that's on her side and she touches me, I might have to call a friend. I might get bailed out. I might be the girl who got into a fist fight at the Beyonce movie. This might have to be the day because 2023 has been playing in my face a lot and I've been showing a lot of grace to people who don't deserve it. This might have to be the day. Do you know she made sure that her arms never touched the armrest? She ruined our time, right? So now I'm watching the movie like, damn, I feel all this violence inside my body that I can't get rid of. So the first 20 minutes of the Renaissance film was trash for me. Do you know what pulled me out of that? I'm watching the film and she's talking about the thousands of people. Somebody said she knew better. Oh, she knew better. She fucking knew better. You're right, she did. Somebody said she pissed herself off. She did. You tried to be funny and now we're both miserable. How about that? So I'm watching the movie and my face is tight. My resting bitch face is in full effect. Somebody said 1-800 don't try me. Y'all are so funny. And then it gets to the part of the movie where Beyonce's talking about the thousands of people it takes to put on the show. And it only takes one thing to go wrong for shit to get fucked up. And there's a part where she's singing a song and she's getting to the climax and all the lights go out in the stadium. The power went off during a climax of one of her most popular songs. She goes down into the floor. She goes underneath. And immediately they go into solution mode. How do we fix this? X, Y, and Z. How do we make it fun when we come back? You know what? I was wearing one outfit when the lights went out. Let me put on a different outfit so when I come back up wearing a different outfit, I'm going to start from the exact same spot where we finished off and surprise them. And they'll be so excited to see me in a new outfit and see us pivot right back. It won't even matter. And she pivoted. And I thought to myself, bitch, you know better. Pivot. Don't let this miserable bitch sit to the left of you with her funky ass breath because her breath smelled. I'm going to keep it cute because I have a thing about people who smell funny who are not unhoused. You have indoor plumbing. Why are you smelling? So the stinky bitch to the left of me, I was like, you know what? She's my blackout. And Beyonce's reminding me in this moment that we pivot, right? When a miserable bitch tries to give you energy transference, we pivot. And guess what? For the rest of the time, I enjoyed the film. Me and the girl on the right of me, who literally knew all the choreography, and she's from Houston, so every time they mentioned Houston, she was like doing gang signs and shit. I loved her. I fucking loved her. I said gang signs to be funny, but it really didn't look like gang signs, guys. I'm not being problematic. It looked like she was doing some really knowledgeable hand movements, and so I wanted to keep it cute with her because I'm a goon, but I'm not a gangster. But she was fun as hell. She was fun as hell. She's from Houston. I was like, well, I have the devil to the left of me, and I have a fun bitch to the right of me. I'm just going to lean to the right. Me and old girl started pop locking and doing the dances together. Balance. Somebody said balance. Yes. Do no harm, but take no shit. Beyonce reminded me 20 minutes into the movie that I should not beat up strangers for having me fucked up. Somebody said me too. I can't stand a person that smells. My nose is way too sensitive. So by the time we got to the Kendrick and Diana Ross part of it, where in real life, Diana's mic was off. Kendrick's mic was off. And I'm watching it in real time at the birthday concert saying the mic is completely off. There is no sound. But Beyonce and Kendrick are still hitting their movements and their steps and their dances and still mouthing the words as if everything is fine. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming like Dory. And because they never let you see them sweat, because they pivoted and kept it pushing, when post-production came and had to lay his track and had to lay Diana's track, over the parts that didn't work out in real life, it was seamless. There's a lesson in there, guys. There's a lesson in there. So shout out to Stinky Bitch on the left. Even she served the purpose. Someone said, Beyonce reminded me that I should not beat up strangers that have me fucked up. Yeah, she did. You guys, some of the quotes y'all are picking. Jay, that quote, I mean, I said it. Y'all be picking the most interesting, questionable quotes. I'm not sure how I come off if people don't know me. But like, it really was a great reminder that Stinky Bitch was, you know what? Stinky Bitch represents 2023 and all the bricks that were thrown at me. Right? And to be honest, guys, had it not been me doing stuff for my mom, y'all know that anything that, my family is my soft spot. I'm pretty goonish otherwise, but my family's my soft spot. Because I was doing something for my mother, that's why I was particularly offended. Because you don't know my life. If you see somebody furiously scowling at their phone and typing into their phone, clearly something's happening. You don't know my fucking life. A lot of people, because they have mundane lives and they ain't got shit going, they assume that nobody else has shit going either. You know? So, woosah. Thank you, Sticky Bitch. You serve the purpose. This is the thing about being Buddhist. This is the thing about being emotional intelligence coach. I'm still a human being. Somebody wrote in the comment section, I think over at YouTube. I don't really read the comments a lot, but when I do, I'll be catching some interesting stuff. They were like, you're so grandiose. I thought you were Buddhist. Why does being Buddhist means I have to pretend I'm mediocre? Y'all love a bad bitch. Y'all love a smart bitch. Y'all love a boss babe. But God forbid she be in on the joke. God forbid she knows that she's amazing. Now y'all mad. Why do I have to pretend like I don't see myself clearly for y'all to like me? Oh, no, who, me? I'm good with words? Oh, my God, I had no idea. This idea that powerful women need to shrink to make y'all comfortable is funny to me. Because some of us are going to hurt your feelings. Right? And guess what? We're not going to hurt your feelings by being nasty. We're not going to hurt your feelings by being mean-spirited. We're not even going to hurt your feelings by telling you what we see in return. Because I always say, if you judge me, you're technically giving me permission to judge you back. Right? But forget all that. Some of us are going to keep pissing you off simply because we're taking up the space that we deserve. And I think that was the overall message of the film. Work your ass off. Be committed to excellence. Also recognize that you are human and give yourself time to breathe and love on your family and love on your culture and be proud of every nappy inch of your womanhood and your humanhood. And in the midst of that, still take up all the fucking space that you deserve. That's what I got from the film. I loved it. And the music was cool, right? It's so funny. I'm giving a review about a music documentary and the music is actually almost an addendum to like the emotional core of it. Because everybody and their mother's going to talk about their favorite tracks and X, Y, and Z. You guys know that I like to talk about the human side of things, right? And if I had to give the movie a rating, I would give it a 9 out of 10. 9 because of all the reasons that I just outlined. The reason I didn't get a 10 is because I'm a movie buff. I'm a documentary buff. I love documentaries. And because I've already seen the show a couple of times up close and personal, I wish there was more documentary. It's about 70% performance. So that those of you who missed the tour, I think it was her gift to you. Like, hey guys, you couldn't afford the tour. So here's this movie so you feel like you were there. So it was 70% music and 30% documentary. I wish it was more like 60% music, 40% documentary. Just because I love documentaries and I've already seen the tour. So that's a subjective and selfish review based on what I like and what I like to see, right? So I would give it a 9 out of 10 only because I was craving more documentary content. Every time the music cut off and she started talking, I was like, yes, I hope this lasts as long as possible. You know what I mean? So I also recognized it was 3 hours. Like, literally, we're there for 3 hours. You guys know, people are always saying, Blue, your skin is glowing lately. What's going on? I've just been drinking a shit ton of water, which means I pee every 90 minutes. The movie is 3 hours. You do the math. For any of you like me who are drinking lots of water or have small bladders, I think the best time to run to the bathroom is at the I think the 2.5 hour mark when she's doing Virgo's Groove. Because Virgo's Groove is so chill. And she's beautiful, but she's just sitting in a shell. It's a great time to run and pee. I'm just saying. The minute Virgo's Groove hits, right after Diana Ross does the birthday tribute, run to the bathroom and run back. Because I ran to the bathroom and ran back, and she was still singing Virgo's Groove. She was still saying, "But baby, come over," and I was already back. So for those who are small bladdered, I need you to know it's a long film. Or just don't drink no water before you go, child, because you're gonna be there all day. All in all, I was there for 3.5 hours, and then I went to the gym right afterwards because I knew that I had not been to the gym in 2 weeks and that I wasn't sleeping as well. For some reason, now that I've gotten used to working out, going to the gym at least a couple times a week helps me sleep and helps with my, like, the endorphins and all that good stuff. So I went to the gym right afterwards, listened to the new song that she dropped. She dropped a new song at the end of the film. And I worked out, and then I came here and showered, and now I'm on live with you, which means I'm exhausted and sleepy and hungry. So for those of you who have been here the entire time I've been talking, thank you for rocking with me. For those of you who are coming in late, we got into the emotional core of the themes that I found the most compelling as an EQ coach from the Renaissance film. We talked very little about music. So if you're a music head who wanted me to talk about the tracks and stuff, the internet is full of that, right? My job is not to be in an echo chamber and repeat what's already being said. It's to add a little bit more sazon and adobo and nuance to what's happening. I will save this on my YouTube. I may keep it on my IG on replay. If you're going to watch it on IG on replay, watch it immediately because I'm not sure how long it'll stay on. But yeah, it was a satisfying use of $30. Somebody said, I'm going to watch the replay. We appreciate you, Blue. Oh, thank you, love. It was a satisfying $30 investment, particularly for those who economically could not afford to go to the concert. Okay? And if you are a Black woman, a woman in general, a queer person, a BIPOC person, a creative, someone who dreams big, someone who believes in pro-Blackness, someone who believes in family, someone who believes that it takes a village to raise all of us. They always say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a creative, right? Because there's a famous quote that says, the creative and the artist is the child that survived, right? Every creative is constantly tapping into their inner child. And so it takes a village to keep us afloat. And I think that's the reason why I got emotional earlier during the tribal conversation, the healthy part of tribal, because there's an unhealthy part of tribal. Again, another conversation. I got emotional during that part because as a creative who has been getting consistent big ass paychecks for over a decade, I recently went full freelance back in March. Whoo, baby. That net 30 ain't nothing to play with, y'all. Ho. Wow. Yeah. I'm a Taurus. I like nice shit. So not getting a check every 2 weeks, it hurt my feelings a little bit. So Lulu, you came in here. Lulu, I wish you had come in earlier, my love. You missed the whole review. I'll save it for for replay. And yeah, please go watch the damn film if you want to support Black cinema, because here's the thing, right? She's Beyonce. She doesn't need any more of our money. I was talking to my friend Mike earlier. We were like, me and Mike saw Beyonce in London, and we both saw her like a second time, and we're both going to see the movie this weekend. And we were like, the way that she's able to take our money without question needs to be studied. That lady keeps getting me to give her my money, even though I'm a beekeeper and not a Beyhive member. Like, what witchcraft is this? But honestly, guys, the thing I love about these lives, the thing I love about this community that we're building on social media is whenever you have the audacity to follow your dreams, you're going to annoy a lot of people because it's annoying. Let's be honest. Being audacious is fucking annoying, right? And you're also going to inspire a lot of people. And you never know who you're inspiring how or why. Sometimes I will make these long videos and say all these things that are supposed to have depth and substance. And it's the most throwaway, off-the-cuff comment that meant nothing to me that ends up being the thing that moves the audience the most. As a creative, I never know what's going to mean what to y'all. And so I started this earlier by telling you creatives, don't let the follower count or the numbers fool you into thinking you don't have an impact. Don't fall for that. You never know who is watching. You never know who you're impacting. You really don't know. And so do it because the world needs your gift. Whatever your gift is, convince yourself that the world needs it and then give yourself permission to master it. Be clear, I've used the word mastery a million times. Nothing I've said in this live is for mediocre clout chasers who just want to be seen. If you ain't got no gifts, you ain't got no skills, you ain't got no work ethic, and you just want to be rich, I don't know what to tell you. I do not have a Salulu for the Delulu, right? So for the Delulus out there, this is not for you, but for the people who want to earn their keep and work from a place that is just dope to behold, I love y'all. We're kindred, we're tribe. And now I have to go because it's been an hour and a bitch is hungry. Love y'all. And to the girl on the left, the stinky bitch who's sitting to the left of me, I forgive you. I hexted you earlier and said that I hope you stub your toe every morning when you got out of bed. But now that we've been talking, now that we've been talking through my anger for you trying to ruin the movie for me, I forgive you. Please get some deodorant. All right, love y'all. Be blessed. I love y'all too. All right, gotta go. Bye.